Nah, alright, I'm not trying to whine like a little bitch, but like, if I stop posting, then I mean, like, it's kind of because I'm a pretty busy guy. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I got school, trying to like get good grades for college. I got a fucking PSAT that I didn't even know about what the hell that is. Trying to also get my permit and license and shit. I'm also got two YouTube channels I'm working on simultaneously, a meme page, a personal life, trying to get that six pack still, and yeah, like that all that shit and more, you know what I'm saying? That is pretty busy. Not trying to like whine, but like if I do stop posting, then that could be just I'm not leaving, but it's just I might not have a lot of time to post. And if I gotta choose between, a few less posts on the channel, get a better grade, so I don't have to pay like $1 billion for college, then I'm gonna go with the college. Keep in mind, I'm doing this all while I'm 80 years old, so like my old ass is tired as hell, honestly, man. Oh, also, I made the thumbnail for the video. I actually like Photoshop that, and that's like the first time I Photoshop something. So I don't know, kind of on the grind right now, but that'll probably be like the worst Photoshop picture you're gonna see on the channel. Cause I'm like keep making them better and better for your viewership. Okay, so now let's just discuss what the video is about. So this video is gonna be about the Jedi, like what makes the best Jedi. Partly, that's just part of it. But who was the best Jedi in all Star Wars that we've seen? I'm going by canon. I'm not doing Legends. I mean, maybe I could do that in a separate video. I'm planning to maybe do a part two with like, I don't know, like Ahsoka or Kanan or somebody, and like some random others. But maybe Plo Koon or Kiffisto too. Okay, so these I chose 6 Jedi. Six of the most well-known Jedi, most important Jedi to the story of Star Wars. But these aren't like my top 6 best Jedi. These are just the ones who are most popular with fans. A lot of people believe these are the best Jedi, and I'm not saying these 6 definitely are, but like it's pretty good idea of what the list actually would be, top 5 or 6 Jedi. But yeah, anyways, these aren't necessarily in order worst to best, but I will be ranking them worst to best at the end. Okay, starting with the chosen one, Anakin Skywalker. Anakin Skywalker is one of the most well-known Jedi, and he was the hero of the Republic, and soon to be probably the champion of the Jedi Order, and was one of the most powerful Jedi at the Order. So, does this make him one of the best Jedi to ever live? Well, I'm not really taking power as much into an account as things, but it does somewhat play into a factor because one of the things about a Jedi is their ability to help people, and power can help with that. And Anakin, having a good deal of power, has the power to help people, which he tries to do very often in the saga. So the biggest case that, and the best case you could have for Anakin being the best Jedi is probably because he's one of the most powerful Jedi, and because he did win the most battles for the Republic during the Clone Wars as a Jedi Knight. So the way I think about it is, well, I mean the truth about it is that Palpatine did send Anakin to battles and fights that he was more likely to win, so the public would love him more, and also to keep him safe sometimes. Like at the Battle of Umbara, he purposely made him leave so he could keep him safe. But regardless, I think he is a really very smart battle tactician. But, well, actually, he is also really powerful. And him being a smart battle tactician helps his clone survive in battle. But, I mean, that is a quality of the Jedi to preserve life, but I mean, him loving fighting and things like that is not really a Jedi trait, or a good trait for the Jedi. But I mean, that's not as important, really. But I mean, him being really powerful is mainly because, I mean, he's a really natural fighter, and I mean, with the midichlorian count, He's just very gifted. So, I mean, he's one of the most powerful Jedi. That's just without question. But I don't think that makes him one of the best Jedi. He just did not have a lot of control over his emotions, especially when he was angry, and he did not have a lot of discipline. And these are things that are essential to being a Jedi. So, that really does hurt his case a lot. And he did break the Jedi Code, not in like small ways, but like pretty big ways. And his morals were pretty weak and questionable at times. Like I said, especially when he's angry. And he just loses complete control of himself, and that's just the exact opposite of what a Jedi should do. So yeah, I think it's safe to say Anakin's not on the higher end of this list. Now, on to the dude he hated, Mace Windu. Mace Windu is very controversial as a Jedi. Most people hate him because he was kind of rude to Anakin. I'm gonna make a separate video on Mace and uh, if he was really a bad dude. But okay, let's just talk about him as a Jedi. He was a very powerful Jedi. Yoda considered him to be very wise as well, and that's why he was Master of the Order. A lot of people use him to define everything wrong with the Jedi Order, and I really feel like they're looking too much into things. But that's just me. I feel like Anakin rather is exactly what a Jedi should not be. But that's really a hot take. But I should have said that early in the video. But okay, regardless, Mace is referred to often by people as arrogant, and that's why people think he is not as good of a Jedi as Yoda thinks he is, and they think he's brash and he makes poor choices and decisions when they are very important. I think he's fairly wise. Like, I mean, like, think about it, bro. Dude, like, he predicts Anakin becoming Vader. He didn't want Anakin to come with him to the Chancellor's office because he knew Anakin was friends with the Chancellor, and now he knows the Chancellor is the Sith Lord. So, you know, I mean, like, the decisions he makes aren't really ignorant or anything. It's just the outcomes are just bad. But sometimes bad outcomes are inevitable. But, so, yeah, I don't know, because he does also have the Vapad, which is fighting style, which he created so he could master his own emotions and use his dark emotions to help him in a fight and harness them. Which I'm not taking fighting into account, but like that is a really good thing for a Jedi to do. He's not just like putting his emotions aside; he's dealing with them and using them for the better. And I think that is a really good thing for a Jedi to do. But I think he is kind of short-sighted and a little arrogant because I feel like he just doesn't think out his decisions in the long run more so. He just does what he thinks is best, which is what you should always do, but sometimes you gotta think more about what is the best. And he just simply doesn't do that all the time. So he's one of the better Jedi for sure, but there are Jedi who I would say are better than him. Okay, now on to the one people claim should have trained Anakin, Qui-Gon Jinn. A lot of people think that Qui-Gon is what every Jedi should have been like. Honestly, I just do not agree with that. There's a lot I could say, but I'm gonna try to sum it up a little today. So I think his actions and the way he goes about things just isn't the way he should do it. Like his mindset is pretty a good way to think, but like some of the things he does, like he talks about the will of the Force, and then when he sees Watto and they do the dice roll, he like puts his own will on there and chooses to this take Anakin instead of Shmi. Like I feel like, I mean, obviously I'm pretty sure it was rigged, but still, like that is putting your own will on things, you know. And I mean, even if you say like, oh, he was willed to find Anakin to train him, or maybe he was just willed to find him so the Jedi would be aware of him, but not train him. Maybe there would have been a different outcome. I don't know. But he, and then like the thing with Obi-Wan in the beginning, he's just talking about how you should be like Obi-Wan's like, oh yeah, you should be mindful of the future, and then Obi-Wan has a vision of the future, and then he's just like, oh no, you shouldn't be mindful of the future at the expense of the moments. Which I mean makes sense, but like, dude, isn't it like the will of the Force that he's getting the vision? I don't to like be aware of Darth Maul. Like I don't. He's kind of confusing, but I feel like following the will of the Force is like a noble thing to do, but like, is that really what the Jedi should do? Like that's what they originally did, but just because something's original doesn't mean it's better. So like, if the Force flows through everything, and doesn't that mean that everything's kind of like the will of the Force? I don't know, man. Like that's kind of confusing to me a little bit, but I don't like if you just follow the will of the Force and don't do anything about whatever's going on in the galaxy, then I really feel like that isn't the best way to be a Jedi. Maybe the Jedi of old prefer that, but that is just not the way to go. I would say that in a galaxy full of peace, Qui-Gon will be the perfect Jedi. But as we've seen throughout Star Wars, there's always been conflict. So I do not think he is the best Jedi in the Star Wars universe. On to our little green friend named Yoda. So Yoda is the Grand Master of the Jedi Order. He's trained some of the best of the Jedi, such as Luke Skywalker, Count Dooku, Mace Windu, among many others. And he's had a hand in every single Jedi's teaching for like 900 or like 800 years, right? So the thing about Yoda is that everyone thinks he's really arrogant because that of the fact that Darth Sidious did rise while he was a Grand Master of the Jedi Order, and people think that he was responsible for what happened to Jedi, and them getting involved in politics and things like that. And I'm not going to go too in depth on that, but it's really hard to fight an enemy when you don't know who your enemy is. Yoda had no clue who Sidious was. They gave him some hints, but still, even when they did start to get suspicious of the Chancellor, they can't just arrest him without any, like, good, solid evidence, unless, like, there's a recording or something like that. And even then, the Senate and the courts would definitely be in favor of the Chancellor, because Palpatine would probably spin up some story, and even if they didn't, the Jedi were hated. So, he was really just, there was no way out. Like, they were screwed from the beginning. He really could not really do much. Another thing is, everyone calls Yoda and the Jedi political, but like they never get involved in politics, literally whatsoever. They pay attention to it, like they go to some big speeches or important trials, but they never actually get involved in anything. And the most involved they are is when planets have violence or conflict, and a Jedi comes to negotiate peace. And that's not really getting involved in politics. That's solving war. Because I mean, like in Naboo, for example, we would call that a human rights violation. So the Jedi helping that is the right thing to do, without a doubt. Okay, so past that, Yoda always tried to help as many people as he possibly could. He always tried to refrain from using violence. This was absolutely necessary. And even when he had to use violence, he regretted it. So I feel like that is a really noble trait of the Jedi. He's without a doubt the wisest Jedi, one of the most caring Jedi, and he really did struggle a little towards the end of the war. I mean, with his visions, I don't really know what he remembers, and I mean, it really was impossible to stop Palpatine. I mean, there was a few ways they could have, but yeah, I feel like he's one of the best Jedi, and especially during the originals. I mean, he's pretty much like the perfect Jedi Master, perfect, perfect teacher, I would say. Or now on to Obi-Wan. Now, as a younger man, he was pretty arrogant in episodes 1 and 2. He didn't fully understand the people around him, like Anakin, like when they first met, and he just wasn't as empathetic and caring and kind as he would go on to be, especially in episode 1. Now during episode 2, he's still a little arrogant but he's become much more wise and mature. He's a little doubtful of Anakin, which I guess he was kind of right to be with, noticing what he did in the movie. But yeah, so he doesn't make some of the best choices during the movie. Uh, he's kind of like Anakin in the fact that he's adventurous and goes headfirst into problems like Anakin, which is just a little arrogant. Now, on Obi-Wan during episode 3. He's quite literally just perfect. Okay, but anyways, he's the one of the smartest characters, the wisest characters, one of the bravest characters, most generous, kind, caring characters. He always gives his all in a fight, always does the best he can to save those around him, helps who he can whenever he can. And it's just a great example of what a Jedi should be. Like, the younglings in the temple, they looked up to him. Honestly, I would too, but like, he is the one they look up to. He is like their top bar. Like, he's the guy they want to be. Like, he's the goal. He's the opposite of a benchmark. You know what I mean? He put the good of the galaxy and the good of others before what he wanted and his desires all the time. He was a different level of selfless. He really was one of the best Jedi to ever live, without a doubt, without question. A lot of people hate him or nag at him because, well, he didn't act when Padme was being choked, but I really think that that's basically anti-plot armor because the plot needed Padme to die, but they weren't just gonna have her die from sadness. They also needed another reason for her to die. She needed to, hit her head, get a concussion, and be choked. But logically and character wise, from a character analysis, Obi-Wan's gone out of his way to help people he's literally never met. So him just doing a little force push or something to save one of his best friends from years is something that he would normally do or is expected to do of his character. Another thing is that people say, oh, that he talked about to Anakin that he said only Sith deals an absolute, which him saying that is an absolute, which is true. But once again, I feel like you're overlooking the message of what he said. Sith are the only Force users who would say something like that, saying, "If you're not with me or you're against me." Like, Jedi would never say that. They say they have people that they aren't who aren't their enemies or their allies. There's a lot. That's most of the galaxy of them, and a Sith thinks if either you're trying to fight them or they're gonna fight you, and that you would be there on their side if you don't fight them, which is just an ignorant mentality. And Obi-Wan's right. Like, Anakin is a Sith at this point. Like, I'm kind of confused why people just forget the message and just notice a bit of a hypocrisy. But, like, that's not too much of a hypocrisy. Now on to Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker came from nothing. He was a farm boy. He did start his training very late, at the age of 19. But he went on to train under Obi-Wan for a little while, destroy the Death Star, fight with the Rebellion, train with Yoda eventually, fight Vader even though he knew he was going to lose. The true spirit of a Jedi. And he did lose pretty badly. Then Return of the Jedi, after he's developed his character more, become more wise, and we don't really know exactly what happens to change his mind during that time period, but something happens, and he decides that Vader could be redeemed after learning he's his father. And he probably looked more into who Anakin was. That's likely. But he tries to bring Anakin back and wants to do it without fighting Vader whatsoever. But he does try to kill the Emperor, which causes him and Vader to fight. He also is once again selfless because he goes to fight Vader and the Emperor, or die trying, or no, turn Vader and fight the Emperor or die trying. So that is once again extremely selfless, and he is very nuanced because he believes that people can be themselves again and they can always change. which is just an expansion of the Jedi way of peace and prosperity. And he goes back to see Yoda because he wants to finish his training, but he's a bit brash, as we saw in Empire, that he doesn't always think things out in the long way, kind of like Obi-Wan did, or no, Mace was like, and in Return of the Jedi, he does let his emotions get the better of him for a little while. Some people think that he was intentionally losing to Palpatine until Vader turned, but like the way I understood it, he was like legitimately getting his ass kicked, and Vader helped him. Like that's the way I've always interpreted it, at least. Now, so who really was the best Jedi? The sixth I would choose on this list would be Anakin. The fifth I would choose, I think, is probably Mace Windu. The fourth I would choose is probably Qui Gon. And at third, I'm gonna go with Yoda. And for second and first, it is really close. So let's just discuss this a little bit further. Now, who was the better Jedi, Luke or Obi-Wan? So the thing about Obi-Wan is that he was always true to himself. Even during Kenobi and during his exile, he still wanted to train Luke. He still was selfless. He still was brave. Okay, he was still selfless. I don't know if I'd say he was still brave, but and then during Kenobi, he is still very brave. Once again, he risks everything to save Leia, and is still trying to train Luke eventually. And then he realizes that Luke needs to grow in his own way, just his mistake with Anakin. He learns his mistakes that he made with Anakin. He is fully back to who he was, but even better. And comparing him to Luke in The Last Jedi, it's not even close. Like, dude, Luke's just like moping around. Like, Obi-Wan's still trying to do things. Luke does end up saving the rebellion, which is, I gotta say that's, or the resistance. But he just isn't as brave or as selfless as Obi-Wan in his darkest and worst moments. And during the original, he's in a different type of intelligence and wisdom and care, and he is the best mentor you could ask for. He's a little arrogant about thinking Vader cannot be turned. But let's get into that right now by talking about it. The biggest difference between the two is Luke's open-mindedness towards redemption and using a bit of more dark side tendencies sometimes. But first off, his ideas towards the redemption of Vader, I feel like, and I hate to sound like Kreese, but he just wasn't there during the prequels. He wasn't alive then. He might have seen a recording after episode 6 in Legends or something, but still, he just wasn't there. He wasn't hurt by Anakin and wasn't fearing Anakin like the people who were alive at the time of Anakin's turn were, and he just didn't see the things he did like Obi-Wan did. The thing is, Obi-Wan witnessed these things. He was there. He felt the pain. Luke just heard stories, which is still hurtful, but dude, it was a lot worse for Obi-Wan, especially considering he knew Anakin his whole life, while Luke just knew him for his last moments. Now, a good argument for Luke is that he used the darker aspects of the Force, like Force Crush or Force Choke, and the way I feel about that is, like, they use examples like him choking Jawa's guards, like, and I think, well, there was no reason for him to do that. He could have just knocked them out with a Force push. Like, I've honestly always thought that. I just never really got the chance to say it. Like, they're unintelligent species. He could have just used a Force a mind trick, and like they wouldn't have bothered him at all. Like, I don't know, killing them just wasn't necessary, and Jedi can preserve life when they need to. Versus, say, Obi-Wan, who doesn't use darker aspects because he has no reason to. If he wanted to kill someone, he'd stab him with his lightsaber. He wouldn't crush somebody with the Force. That's a horrible way to die. Even if there was a droid, he'd just cut him up. And if he wanted to know information, he'd just use a Jedi mind trick. So Obi-Wan is a more traditional Jedi, and he uses some ideas of the Jedi of old too. But Luke is a more new type of Jedi, and I feel like the new things Luke changed doesn't necessarily make it better. Like, objectively, it's more subjective. Okay, and this is barely taking into account the ideas and the philosophy of Luke during the sequels. and comparing that to Obi-Wan when he was older, or hell, even during Kenobi and his philosophy then, like, it was so much superior and Jedi-like consistently. Going into this, I thought Luke was definitely going to be the best Jedi. And after making the video and thinking about it more, I realized that I still can be wrong. It's just, as the best Jedi is Obi-Wan. Even if you compare Luke during the originals, Book of Boba Fett and The Mandalorian, to Obi-Wan during just the prequels, I'm choosing Obi-Wan. Not even counting the sequels or Kenobi in the originals. Like, then I think it's Obi-Wan without a doubt. He is the best Jedi that's ever lived. He's the perfect Jedi, in my opinion.